in Stairway to Heaven, where he kind of does the and lands on that F. It lands on that flat 6 because that's where the chord progression went. This, when it's just sticking to a pentatonic riff, it's just usually you'll get this scale, just the pentatonic, or you could add the second in there. So because we're not deeming this Dorian, and we're not deeming it natural minor, because there is no 6th degree in any of those chords. So that 6 is elusive. A natural 6 will tend to stand out a little bit more than the natural minor scale, which has the flat 6. But that 6 is so abrupt. I mean, it's just like when you get those what is it? You know, that the like Black Sabbath lick. That flat 6 is so abrupt, you know. Or if I were to play something like just kind of grooving on an A minor to G, and I played, that stands out so much. That actually stands out a lot because a huge color tone in that chord progression is my flat 3 of my 1 chord, of my A minor, and that 6 is the tritone of it. You know what I mean? So now you have 2. 1 will pull it so like emotionally in that kind of place, or even if you do it fast, if you do something like, you know, that still gives it such a colorful tone that usually when you have it just as a pentatonic, so if I do it in F, you would want to stick to the pentatonic to not color that in a way. I almost think of the pentatonic as almost like stone, you know, and sometimes you want that stone look or that stone feel, and you don't want it to be wildly colorful when it doesn't need to be, you know. So one option also, a guy from what's his name, Blackwell from Deep Purple does this a lot, where he won't play a 6th scale degree, but he'll still throw the 2nd in there. Does that like kind of make sense? That 6 is so much when it's not mentioned in the chords, we don't always want to just bring it out unless that is the sound that you really want to go for, because it can also be a really cool sound. For this, I would jump right into a pentatonic, maybe add that 2nd in like I was saying before, but you know, like we were saying, is it's not a player to player scenario. It's getting good at like hearing the tune. And like we were saying, what if we had, you know, that might inspire some natural minor, same chord progression, right? So you're just really hearing it out. That natural 6 in the Dorian, the only time that I would ever really use that would be like, oh man, like if I wanted that note to stick out and sound awkward, you know what I mean? Like that, I wanted that note. You know, my buddy has this tune. I can't remember exactly what the chord progression was, but it was something. It was like something pretty bluesy, pretty like standard. You know, A13 to like a D9, and hit the start of the hook melody was so just kind of like that thing. He would do. Right, that sharp 4 slid into the 5, starting right on that, is really abrasive. That's not like using the sharp 4 as like a passing, you know? So like, that's almost the way that I think about Dorian in a minor that doesn't mention the 6, the natural 6 in there, is like I would use it to make it sound awkward. And like we said, even like if it was in A minor, make it sound awkward against the C the minor third of the A minor chord, right? Because it's such a strong tone. Other than that, because then you'll get songs that are just A minor to D7, and then you can really put it in there, and it slides in nicely over those chords. But yeah, man, this is all about hearing out each one of the minors, being able to choose whichever one you want, and knowing which one you want based on the rhythm of the track, and what the track is kind of like delivering, and kind of putting it out that way. Putting backing tracks on that are only pentatonic, only pentatonic minor. Like, I can't imagine, or even, I can't imagine like riffing over that in Dorian. It softens it up way too much, It's not supposed to be a soft sound, that rough sound of the pentatonic always works. So try now minor, but I love doing this for that, especially that progression, just because Dorian really does that major 4 or the dominant 4, right? That's like one of the main chords that really brings out the Dorian. So A minor. So if you're here in your A minor, sort of, I love when it switches to the D, sliding that up to the 6, up to the 9th fret, and then you sort of are in this Phrygian position, this third mode position, up a whole step, and now you have this A minor's like slide it up, and you can almost have this Hendrix thing, and then still have these bottom 2 strings of. So that's like a really cool way to get that, and then back to that A minor. And what's cool about this too is that 7, when it's when it's the D7, is you can get it right there, and then just kind of bring it back. So that now becomes your D7, right? Does that kind of make sense? It's almost the way when people are learning their modes and they're just like, oh, this is it, I'm in Dorian. The point of us guitar players for learning the modes is positionally, where you can then say like, yeah, I'm going to play Phrygian up here instead of Dorian down here. You just have to know why and what notes you want to sort of land on. But just like, just some cooler ideas to kind of picture. The goal is kind of like you're in your centralized chord progression position, and you start like, oh, I can go up a little bit, oh, I can go down a little bit, and then eventually they just meet, and you've got the entire neck. You know what I mean? And you're not even necessarily thinking about what mode you're in as much as just like the key signature as far as the guitar and kind of riffing around. Numerically count it from 1 to 7, right? I'm not gonna add any flats. So whether it's Dorian, whatever it is. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then starting again. In each one of those instances, your 1 chord is always the 1, the 3, and the 5 of that scale, and your 4 chord is always the 4, the 6, and the root note of that scale, be it flat if they're minor, whatever. You can always go back to that when you're playing over the changes. So no matter what, an A major to a D major in the A major scale is going to be my 1, 3, 5, and then when I get to the D major, I can focus a little bit more on my 2, 6 root, and then even the 5 chords, 5, 7, and the 2 right there. So just knowing those and being able to find those on each one of the chords, it almost doesn't even matter what mode it is that you're playing, as long as you're playing the right one, landing on those to really accentuate the chords.